Hi everybody, can anybody hear me? I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. Is anybody out there? Oh, look, Kayla's watching. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Somebody comment if you can hear me. I want to make sure this is working right. Hi, Kayla. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to do this on my phone and watch comments at the same time, but it doesn't want to let me do that. I see you, AC. Can you guys hear me okay? It's really weird watching it on the computer and the phone at the same time. I guess I probably should just look at my phone instead of looking at the computer. It's really weird watching it on the computer. Okay, so, this is so strange. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm sorry. This is the first time I've done this, but, so, my name's Rebekah. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to come into the Ink and Quill room today and talk about some of my books. As many of you may know, I just had a new book come out, and, last month, actually, and it's called Mirrors. Here's the cover right here, guys. I'm trying to get that reflection off. But this is the story about Gil, and he is a time traveler, a college student, and a paramedic. And he's trapped in medieval France. But before I get there, I just wanted to share with you guys some of the other stuff I've done. I actually started writing this book. It's called The Writer. It's the first book in the Postcards from Paris series. And I started writing this in 2013 when I was in my master's program. And it's really the story of a journalist who's in love with her best friend, and she ends up escaping to Paris to get away from her broken heart because the guy's not in love with her. And so I write primarily romance, but over the years I've kind of just gone away from that and into into fantasy. And so my foray into fantasy does include romance. And I have a new book coming out February 4th, which is called Marie. And after this video is over, I'll post some links to our launch party that we're going to have on February 4th. But I thought during this live stream, I'd kind of do some reading from my upcoming novel, Marie, and maybe some reading from Mirrors if you guys would like to find out more about Gil. He's kind of a jerk, and it's hard for me to read about him, so as long as nobody's easily offended, I'll definitely read. But he does say the F word a lot, so that's something you guys are going to have to be prepared for. Okay. I see Janae and AC and Kayla. Is anybody else around? Anybody want to ask me any questions before we get started with some readings? And then I'll read you a chapter from Gil. I just got to figure out what scene that you guys would like to hear. I think I'll probably read you a scene from Mirrors where he bumps into a classmate, and this kind of really reveals something about Gil because he tends to think with not his big brain, if you know what I mean. If my computer will cooperate. What are you having for dinner, Janae? You better be cooking more of that, what's that stuff that you order? Men think with their brains. Oh my god. So, no, they really don't. And Gil is no exception because he immediately, he does not. And a large part of Mirrors is him just thinking with his smaller brain most of the time. Chicken, carrots, and potatoes. That sounds really good. Okay, any questions before I get started? Because I'm going to read a small part of chapter 2 from Mirrors, which is where we really get to see Gil interacting with other college students. Oh, HelloFresh, I really want to, I really want to try them. They look so good. I love it when you unpackage your boxes too, because I love seeing all the fresh ingredients come out of there, so I really have to try it. Can't wait to see your video tomorrow on what products you get. Where is Courtney? She should really be here for this, because she's the one that kind of fangirls all the time over Gil. And if you guys don't know, Courtney Cannon is my editor. She works for Fiction Atlas Services. I'll give her a shout out real quick. But she's pretty amazing. We got the cover for Mirrors, this beautiful guy right here, done in a couple of days, and she really helped find what Gil looked like after reading the description of him in the book. So I love Courtney, and she's really awesome. You guys should check her out and get a cover from her, get some editing. She's really boss. Yeah, she might be asleep. It's like 1 o'clock there, though. That sucks. Kayla, what got me into writing? Actually, I've been writing for a really long time. I started writing when I was about 12, and I was homeschooled, and so my teacher gave me an option then to write a 6-page fiction story or take a test on history. So I wrote a 6-page story, and it was completely awful. It was about 2 lovers split by the Civil War. My dialogue was atrocious, and it was really the worst thing a 12-year-old could ever write. So I stopped writing for a long time until I did my master's in English, and I started picking up, creative writing classes, and I had to do a lot of assignments, and all my short assignments in my master's rolled over into all of these novels, and I fell in love with it. I met my first publisher in my master's program. I had a wonderful friend at the time who was also writing fantasy, and he was encouraging me to write every day, and he's probably never gonna watch this, but hi, Derek. You're awesome, man, and you're one of the people that really got me writing, and I don't think I'd be here without you. Any other questions? Are you guys still trying to summon Courtney? Alright, so, I'm gonna get started reading this section from Gil, and, like I said, if you are easily offended, please turn away now. Just silence your screen. Make sure there's no kids around, because Gil is very full of himself. Alright, so here we go. This is from chapter 2, when your sister uses your middle name. And we find out a little bit more Jules in this chapter, his sister. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I managed to stop myself from falling, but the history book I've been clinging to tightly went flying. It landed spine down on the floor with a thunk. I was surprised that heavy bastard didn't leave a dent in the goddamn concrete. I reached to snatch it up, ready to lay into the idiot that bumped into me. Instead, another form of bumping came to mind. Her wide blue eyes greeted me, tucked under long, blonde, straight hair that fell across her ample bosom. Okay, let's be fucking honest here. My 20-year-old brain began to scream, "Oh my god, tits!" And I told it to shut up for the 3rd time today. These fucking hormones. She reached for the book at the same time I did, and our heads collided. Excellent first impression, Gil, I said to myself. Meanwhile, my brain just responded, tits. Shut up, brain. Ow, I said, straightening. I let her pick up the monster of a textbook. She laughed nervously. Oh, I'm so sorry, she said. I didn't watch where I was going. I was reading this thing on my phone, and She just smiled at me. I saw her phone tucked in the outside of a blue satchel slung over her shoulder. I grinned back at her and took the textbook, slipping it under my arm. I couldn't be angry at her slender, pixie-like face. It's okay, really. What's your name? She blurted out. Forward. I like that in a girl. Gone were the shy high school girls of last year, that's for sure. These were college bitches now. Gil, I said, sticking out my hand. And you? Selena, she said, that huge grin on her face lighting her eyes. My traitor brain thankfully disengaged from her breasts, and I looked at the stack of books on her arm. Drama 101, huh? Yeah, she said, blushing. I'm a bit of a theater nerd. That's kind of hot. Oh, sorry. You too? Damn it, girl. Don't tell Gills that. I inwardly groaned. That's kind of hot, she said, much to my surprise. Tell her you're in Glee Club, asshole Brain said. No, Brain. Tell her. Fuck off, Brain. I was in Glee Club in high school, I said, feeling like an idiot. Tenor or bass? High tenor. She winked at me. Looks like it. What the hell is that supposed to mean? I said. It means your jeans are too tight to suggest any type of baritone, she said. She pushed past me, ending the conversation. Wait, where are you going? Glee Club meets at 5 on afternoons in Grant 401, by the way, she shouted over her shoulder as she disappeared. I looked down at my attire. I mean, sure, I wasn't dressed like a dumb jock in sweats and a hoodie, but my jeans fit like a second skin over black suede dress shoes. My t-shirt was clean and nearly wrinkle-free. Thanks, Mom, for ironing everything before I moved. And my blue vest was unbuttoned and rather stylish. I ditched the tie from day one at the last minute this morning. I didn't want to look too anxious on my first day of school. Then it hit me. I'm pretty sure she'd been staring at my dick. Yeah, I smiled as I pushed my way into history. Hell yeah, Gilliam Landval. Bay City University student and pimp extraordinaire. Where was Glee Club again? Because that just went to the top of my priority list. Right after my fucking homework. So what do you guys think? Looking at some of the comments here. Let's see. So Janae, I have two teenagers. 12-year-old and a 14-year-old. Absolutely. Actually, they're kind of self-sufficient, and they leave me alone most of the time. But they give me great ideas for books. Every time they say something snarky, I look at them and I go, that is going in a book. And they usually learn that they can't say stuff like that. Kayla, observing a lot of people. I teach for a living, and so I love to sit around in our common areas and watch students come and go. I love going to coffee shops and observing how people dress and what they're saying. Even if I can't understand what they're saying, I make up conversations in my head, and I usually take those ideas and put them into stories. My fiction baby? What does that mean? So my fiction baby is really probably Gil at this point. I tend to write serial novels, so I write about 130,000 words and then break them up into like series of about 30,000 words each. And right now Gil has kind of taken over my life, and it's been really difficult to kind of detach from him because he wants his story told. The glare from these is bothering me, sorry. He wants his story told so much that it's been really hard to step away from the computer because he has so much going on that he needs to share. Yeah, Janae, I totally agree. Making stories up about random people is one of the most fun things I can do because I love trying to figure out what's going on. Is it an argument? Is someone having an affair? Is someone going to a birthday party for a long-lost friend? Everything that you see in your daily life, carry a notebook with you in your pocket and jot down things you see. Purple hair, blonde ringlets, a guy in skinny jeans, you know, definitely become a people watcher. It's the best thing that you can ever do as an author. All right. Okay, so let's see. Oops. Do you guys want to hear some more about Marie? Well, let me ask you guys a question first. So, what type of women do you like to read in your stories? With my new book coming out in February, one of the things that I really strove for when I wrote Marie, is kind of Gil's love interest, but not really. She's just kind of an independent creature on her own. I want to know what you guys think about your female characters. Do you want them to be just there? Do you want them to do something? Do you want a pretty face? Or are you okay with not a pretty face? One of the reasons why our cover for Marie has a girl who's a little bit on the bigger side is because I wanted to represent in literature how the real women look and how they act. And so Marie is really another fiction baby, Kayla, that I have because I wanted her to be really strong. And Janae, you're right. They need to find their confidence through the book. And in the beginning of Marie, we kind of see this 19-year-old poet who's struggling to kind of find her place in the world. And then at the very end, she tries to stand up to Gil, but she's not strong enough yet. And I just actually wrapped up book 3 of this series. We're going to call it Magic, I think, and that's a title in progress. But oh, Courtney's here! Courtney gets to see book 3 very soon, and she's really going to see how Marie gets to stand up to people. Thank you, Courtney. I love Marie, too. Any other questions before I read a short portion of my new upcoming novel, Marie? I can't wait to share this with you guys because nobody's seen this yet. I think Courtney's the only one that has seen any part of Marie, so I really want to share that with you. I just saw your message, Courtney, and I immediately flipped to chapter 4. So yeah, I am reading the stabbing scene. Okay. Let's see. Kayla, I love women that are in-depth and realistic, for sure. I hate women that are just a sexual object, and Gil tries to do that with Marie, and it doesn't work out for him very well. Janae, yes, and I'm not telling you who. But I have a really good friend who's kind of an asshole like Gil, and it's no secret that a lot of Gil's dialogue is taken from him. I do base a lot of characters after people I know. I won't tell you who they are, but the more people I know, the more of a chance they end up being in my book. My piercing artist is actually going to end up in book 4 as a druid high priest, and there's going to be a giant joke around him being bald, so it's going to be really fun to write that character. Okay, let's see. Alright, I'm going to jump into chapter 4 of Marie, and this title, all the titles in this series are actually really strange. Gil has kind of this running commentary about being cursed because he thinks that everything that bad that happens to him is because of the family curse. And so our chapters usually kind of go along the schedule, like chapter 4, for example, that I'm going to read from is called Stabbings Hurt Like a Bitch. A little background to this chapter, the Prince of France has actually died from a wound, and so Gil has to step into his place because they're really close relatives, and Gil is like a twin to the prince. And so they come up with this plan where his sister Jules, who's a firefighter with medical knowledge, has to stab him and make it look like he has the same wound as the prince. And so this kind of goes into the scene where Jules is trying to stab Gil, and all of a sudden she's decided she can't stab her brother. And so we're going to pick up from that scene. Kayla, some of the really most difficult scenes are the ones of heartbreak, where in book 3 we'll see Gil and Marie have their very first big fight, and it destroyed me because one of them ends up leaving. And so anytime one of my characters has to leave or says, I'm done, this is over, I want no more of this, it breaks my heart as an author. And I cry along with those people. I know some of you have told me before that you cry with your characters too. And I hope that I can evoke that same emotion in readers too. Because I want them to know the agony I felt when I had to break hearts. It kills me. I can't take it when I have to break their hearts like that. I feel like I'm meddling in people's lives, even though they're not real. And so that makes those scenes really hard to write because there's so much emotional coming up. Hi, Evelyn. I'm glad you're here. It must be really late where you are in England, but I'm really glad to have you here tuning into my live feed. Courtney, you cried over Marie? What did you cry about? It's not even as half emotional as Magic is going to be here in a couple of weeks. Marie is kind of killer, though, because she doesn't take any shit. She's just an ass kicker, and she doesn't care who knows it. Spoilers. I'm trying not to give away too much because, you know, book 3 isn't out yet, but, yeah, heartbreak, you know, it kills me to have to write that because I know what it feels like all too well. Oh, Piers, yes. I love Piers. For those of you who don't know, Piers is the page that kind of follows them around, and we find out that he's actually the king's nephew, and he keeps their secret that Gil is taking the place of the prince. So, Kayla keeps screwing with them because that's what keeps the readers interested. The more you F with them, the more the readers go, oh, I need to find out what's going to happen. I'm trying to reduce the glare here on my glasses sitting behind the light. Okay, so let's get into more about Marie, because I really, really want to show you this character, guys. Okay, so this is chapter 4 from Marie, and chapter is called Stabbings Hurt Like a Bitch. Stop being a goddamn pussy, Jules, I shouted at my sister. Gil, I just can't. Well, I can't do it myself. I threw my arms out to my side. Come on. I peeked at her with one eye, the other firmly shut. It had been 3 days since we disposed of the prince's body, and Beckett had done a fair job of keeping everyone away. All we had to do was make sure that I had a wound just like the prince, so no one would question it. As I looked at my sister holding a small dagger in her hand, I realized this was going to be more difficult than we thought. This was our 3rd try, and every time Jules had chickened out like a little bitch, pulling away at the last minute before she could make the puncture wound. Jules turned and jogged to the massive hearth in what used to be the prince's bedroom, which was now my solitary confinement for the last 3 days. Beckett had insisted to present the air that I was recovering from my wounds. By God, I needed her to do this so we could just get it fucking over with. What the fuck are you doing? I yelled at her. I watched as she shoved the dagger in the fire. There's germs on this, Gil. I mean, you don't want to get infected, right? Jules, we've been over this 1,000,000 times, I said, plopping down on the edge of the book behind me. You're the only one who can do this. I threw a scratchy wool blanket over my shoulders. I was naked from the waist up, freezing, and already missing cotton pants from the future. These breeches scratched and poked me everywhere, and I hated it. The longer my sister waited to thrust a dagger in my side, the angrier I got. Why do I have to do this again? She turned to me, looking at me finally. I told you you're the only one who can get the cut clean enough to miss my kidney. Not to mention you have to stitch me up. Christ, hurry the fuck up and get it over with. She turned the dagger upright in her hand. I can't. She looked down at it. I don't want to hurt you, she said. Well, you picked an excellent time to think about that, I said, throwing off the blanket and striding towards her. Besides, Marie went through a lot of trouble to find that tiny dagger so it won't leave much of a mark. Do you really want to ruin my beautiful body? Jules shook her head. Come on, Jules. I grabbed her wrist and pointed the tip of the blade just on my side. She pulled her hand away. I can't. Oh, Mother Mary of Saints, a familiar voice said behind her. We are tired of this tirade. Just let me do it already. Oh my God, Marie, I hadn't heard her come in. Her hair was still hidden under that white wimple, but she was wearing an emerald dress today, and her brown eyes, typically void of makeup, were ringed with black kohl. She reached out and grabbed the knife from Jules' hand. "Here," she said as she stepped between us. She looked up at me, and I felt the hot tip of the dagger searing against my skin. She touched my bare chest, her hand soft and cold. I shook my head and moved her hand towards the left, angled it up away from my skin. I wrapped my hand over hers, intending to help her steady the blade and miss damaging a vital organ, or worse, my large intestine. That was nasty shit I didn't want to deal with, not in the Middle Ages. I dropped my hand and puffed out my chest, inhaling sharply. I braced for what I knew was going to be agony, but figured out it would be like a Band-Aid. You know, the quicker we did it, the quicker the pain would subside. Boy, I was dead wrong. The blade was no more than 1 inch wide, 2.5 inches long. Smaller than a switchblade, I'd had a few of those stabbings in my career as a paramedic. It'd be easy for Jules to stitch it up, and I'd have a scar and a really cool story to tell. But nothing prepared me for how painful it is to get stabbed. I talked my victims through it, consoled them gently as I heard them cry, scream, and shout profanities in my ear. But after a few minutes, they always calmed down in the back of my ambulance. Stab wounds? They were nothing. Oh, I was so wrong. The pain was the worst thing I have ever fucking felt. Worse than the concussion when Jules hit me with a swing in the 2nd grade. Worse than a broken leg when I fell off a horse in 4th grade. Even worse than Jill Yeltz, who bent my dick the wrong way when we tried to fuck in the school's janitor's closet in my junior year. Fucking Christ on a motherfucking cunt cracker! Mother of God! Marie was quick, pulling back the blade and pressing up about 1 foot. Her eyes went wide as I swore in her face. I pressed my hand to my side, feeling the blood slowly pool around my fingers. It wasn't much that I had to worry. But there's something to be said about feeling your own blood accident in your body. It's trippy and a little terrifying. Jules ducked behind me and slapped her hand over my mouth. "Knock it off, you big baby," she whispered. "Fuck me, that's the worst," I moaned between her fingers. I swear she chuckled as I felt her press the cloth to my side. We tried our best to sterilize it, but without antiseptic, it was pretty sketchy. She motioned to Marie, who was a bit frozen from the fire, still holding the dagger. Adrenaline rushed through me, and I started to feel dizzy. "Jules," I said, sitting down. "Get rid of it. Hand me the needle and thread," Jules barked, moving my hand to cover the cloth. "I've got to stitch it." So that's about halfway through the chapter, but I'm just going to stop there because it gets into Pierce showing up and realizing that he isn't who he says he is. So... Oh, Evelyn asked a really good question. If we're going to start with our first book, which one would you start with? I think that really depends on whether you like romance, sex, or fantasy. If you really like a sweet romance, Room 331 is my prequel to this guy, The Postcards in Paris. I don't have a copy of Room 331. But it's a really nice, sweet romance about my characters in college and how they meet and fall in love. If you like sex, if you like tropes, if you like a little bit of time travel, I really recommend In Time for Love and Coffee. It's a great story about a mom with 2 teenagers who kind of time travels to change her life and ends up falling in love with the wrong man. I really it's hard to say what book to start with. All of my romances, I'm kind of biased. All my romances are pretty great. You can ask Courtney. I love dialogue. I don't write a lot of really heavy sex scenes, but my Time for Love and Coffee, I think there's sex in every chapter because my characters get a little horny sometimes. If you love fantasy and really crude characters who just don't give a fuck, though, Mears is probably the one you want to pick up because Gil he just kills it with the sex and the dialogue, and he's really very funny most of the time, and he kind of tends to take over a little bit of a zone. Janae, you're cutting chicken. That's hilarious. Like, listening to somebody get fucking stabbed, and it's totally fine to be cutting chicken. That's great. Thank you, Courtney. I try with dialogue. I can't stand info dumps, and so I try to start almost every single one of my novels with dialogue. Because I really want to pull the readers in, and I want them to feel like they're eavesdropping on a conversation, and so it keeps people really interested, usually. Sounds appropriate. Oh, thank you, Evelyn. It's a really quick read. It's only about 30K. It's 100 pages, I think. My husband read it in an hour and went, cool book. Thanks, husband. The second one is coming out in 2 weeks, so as soon as you finish it, you can feed your, hopefully, addiction on Gil with the sequel, Marie. I love Gil. There's a part in Marie where he grabs a chick that he works with, and I don't want to give it away, but Gil's kind of a fuck machine. He can't keep his hands off ladies, and they never say no to him. Anybody ever met a guy like that, where you know he's just all sorts of wrong for you, but you can't resist him? I'm a Gil groupie. Okay, Kayla, have fun putting the spawn down for a nap. That's hilarious. Does anybody want to hear a short scene where Marie gets to use her magic? At the end of, Evelyn, that's funny. I hate guys that are just total fuckers. They drive me crazy. Let's see, so I've got about 15 minutes here. I don't even know, my phone might die. We'll just see how this goes. I'm trying to find a chapter. So for those of you that don't know, Marie is a sorceress, and you'll find out more about her really in book 3. But there's a bit of a hilarious part where she has to save Gil and use some magic. And he's really got some, what is this Harry Potter shit going on in his head. Hang on just a second. There it is. Okay, so this is from a chapter called what is this Harry Potter shit? And Gil cannot really believe his eyes. Let's see. So I wrote this whole dialogue scene here that I'll start where they're talking about swear words in the Middle Ages, and it was really funny to research this. So let's see. Well, shit. Henry is fine, I smiled at her, taking on my persona as the prince. She almost choked on a laugh. Why do you swear so much? I put a finger to my lips. Shh, don't fucking tell anyone. That you swear like a sailor, she said. I hope no one in the castle was around when I stabbed you. I'm sorry about that. Excuse me, my brain said. Gil doesn't fucking apologize. Surely, she said. Yes, I said. I shouldn't have said that in front of a lady. I apologize for my swearing. Aw, fuck, Gil. You're going soft, my brain said. She smiled slightly. I've heard worse, I assure you. Seriously? I asked. I splayed my hand across the open field in front of our picnic. The worst swear word here is, may God blind you, or some shit like that. Oh, you don't even know. Wait until we get to England. She laughed. There's 2 words you should probably be aware of right off the bat. Sard and cunt. Sard is like the word for shit, I think, and the other is very self-explanatory. There's a road in London called Grope Cunt Lane, and there are ladies that, you know, she blushed and looked away a minute before looking back. There's also curses against God, such as Christ's fingernails and toenails and God's bones. I stared at her. 1, that was the most she had ever said to me in one sitting. 2, the way she rattled on was a bit sexy. I expected it to leave a bitter taste in my mouth, but I didn't. I had everything ass backwards. Pretty girls were smart sometimes, but even if they weren't, I fucked pretty girls. Plain girls, like Marie, I didn't really have time for them. But I had time for this one. Before I could tell her that I could listen to her all damn day, the trees behind her rustled. I jumped to my feet. "What is it, sire?" she said, standing and looking over her shoulder. "I don't know, but I think there's a..." Even as I said it, the underbrush parted and a wild pig thing appeared. A pig thing. Yeah, that's what I fucking said. A boar? Is that what that's called? It was larger than any pig I had ever seen at the state fair. It was brown instead of pink, with sharp tusks that pointed high over its bottom lip. Even from 20 yards, I could see it was obviously feral. It grunted loudly, stamping its foot, and started to charge us. "Shit!" I yelled, trying to draw my sword. It was stuck somehow, but I couldn't pull it out. I tugged on it furiously, swearing loudly. Marie looked at me, her eyes wide. What are you doing?" The boar was 10 yards away, and that fucker could run. It was bigger than anything I had ever seen, about the height of a large dog, and 3 times as big. Around. Shit, fuck. It's going to rip us to shreds. What good was a sword if I can't even draw it to defend myself? "Oh, God's bones," Marie said. She reached into the side of her dress. She pulled out a short twig of some kind wrapped in ribbon and dried berries, with a jewel tied to the end near the hand. She flicked it down by her waist twice, drew a little circle, and pointed it forward. The board disappeared. I'm not talking like poof, whisk of smoke, like a theatrical event or something. It just goddamn wasn't there. 1 minute it was, then 1 minute it wasn't. What the actual fuck? Where did it go? I stared at Marie, then back where the pig had been rushing us. Surely it fell in a hole or something. A marsh pit, quicksand, some magical French shit, I don't know. Right? Shh, she said. Come on. She hoisted her skirts and stepped over the rocks, heading straight towards the place where the boar used to be. I forgot about my sword for the time being and followed her. She stopped suddenly and I almost collided with her. A huge toad, about the size of a kitten, shades of brown and covered in warts, leapt out in front of us, then to the right as it took off jumping back towards the forest. As I watched it, I noticed the toad looked a little strange. Staring after it, I noticed it had 2 little tiny teeth pointed sideways out of its mouth. "Marie, did you just..." I didn't have the words. I looked at the toad again and back at her. Okay, so that was a fucking huge-ass frog, 1. 2, did you just... What? She looked at me and shook her head. "Say nothing," she hissed. "No one can know." "What kind of Harry Potter shit is this?" I said, a little too loudly. She reached over and touched the pommel of my sword, slid her hand down the handle, and released the leather catch that held it in my scabbard. I was so panicked about a feral fucking pig, I had forgotten to release the catch. Oh my fucking God. She drew the sword and held it up in front of her, running her hand down the sharp side. What good is a man's sword if he can't use it? She turned it over and sunk it into the ground, the pointed tip sliding easily into the field. Without another word, she strode back to our picnic and began to pack it up. Are you okay, Courtney? Oh, I love it. It's so great. Yes, Evelyn, the English language is absolutely foul. I have a friend from Liverpool, actually, and that I go to the gym with, and she drops C-U-N-T like no other. And she keeps getting yelled at, and she just always looks at him and goes, "British!" Our instructors don't really like her that much, because she can never stop swearing, and I love it. I love it that she swears all the time. It's great. By the way, the end of this chapter that I just read, the last line says, "What kind of Merlin magical wizard shit is going on here?" Which I just love, because we're going to meet Merlin in book 4, and he plays a really important part in Gil. But yeah, Evelyn, Most of the people I meet from England are like that. It's hilarious because in America you do not use that word. You just don't. And so it's hilarious that sometimes we don't have a lot of British people in Oregon, obviously, but whenever we do, it's funny. My friend, actually, she's in her 60s, and her mom, who's probably 84, 85, flew here from Liverpool, and she said the C word much more often than her daughter did. So to hear an 85-year-old woman just, what up, cunt? It's like, oh, yeah. I just realized that I've dropped so many swear words in this video, I don't think anybody else is going to want to watch it. So there should be some kind of disclaimer, like, if you're easily offended, if you're fine with Evelyn's picture comment that she left the other day, then this video might be for you. Great picture, Evelyn. Everybody should go vote on that, by the way. Just scroll down in the group, and you can find her amazingly detailed picture. Okay, so I've got about 5 more minutes. My phone's about to die. I really should get out of here. Any other questions before I go? Anything you guys want to see in future books? And please do not tell me werewolves, because I will never write werewolves. I can't take it. Janae and Courtney know that I call them my wet dog sex, and I can't. Nope, no werewolves for me. But anything else you'd like to see in books? Any other comments or anything? Oh, Courtney brings up my steampunk book. So anybody know what steampunk is or heard of it? It's a actually really small genre, but it's blown up pretty big. It's modern day technology, lasers, fire, flamethrowers, modern technology kind of set in the Victorian period, and unfortunately, a couple of my publisher that had picked it up just recently closed. But they did return the rights to me, and so I'm looking at having Courtney design a cover for me. My steampunk novel is a little more YA, because I wrote it actually as my master's thesis, and so I wanted something my kids could read. It's about a girl named Elena Winston who transports into a realm called Elestria, and it's all steampunk. There's a city just made of clocks with automaton robots everywhere, and there's automaton dragons flying in the sky. And the queen has actually been kidnapped by an evil wizard by the name of Parker Whipple, who goes by the alias Timekeeper, and he can actually freeze time. And he's kind of got this city under his evil maniacal control. And Elena meets a tinkerer by the name of Sebastian. And her and Sebastian have some pretty cool adventures with a little demon about 2 feet tall. And this little demon follows Elena and Sebastian around and kind of gets them out of some tricky situations. As well as he can ride a fucking steam dragon, which is just fucking cool, because you've never really lived until you've read a 2-foot-tall demon trying to ride a dragon over the city. So it's grand fun, and oh my god, Janae, you are just totally killing me. Well, tell Ollie I said hello, and if he would ever like to read any of my books in French, like translate them into French or Dutch, I don't care. He can do that any day of the week. I'm kind of obsessed with all things French. If it's not French and it's not coffee, it's that's pretty much running through my book. And I really need to write a character who's British one of these days too, because that's my other Anglophile obsession. Like, if somebody said, "Hey, I have these tickets to London, do you want to go?" I'd be like, "Fuck you, I'm out. Bye." Be on the next plane. So that's France and England is kind of I'm really jealous of Janae, because She gets to live like an hour from London, and it's not like I'm super jealous. I'd have to take Courtney with me if I went to London, because she'd be like, "Where's the David Tennant at? I need to find David Tennant." I think I'm cutting out a little bit here. I love coffee in England. It's one of my favorite ways to have coffee. I still actually drink coffee with milk for the most part. Can you guys hear me okay? I think it's cutting out a little bit. I might be a little low on battery here. Nope, I don't know what's going on. Oops. Hiddles! Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting about Hiddles. Yeah, we need to meet Hiddles. Okay, I hear the sounds of my husband and children learning, so I should get off the stream and focus on them. You can see my husband in the background right there. Yes, Courtney, we are going to stalk the David Tennant and the Matt Smith. Okay, guys, that's the end of my live feed. I've been here with an hour, and I hope you guys enjoyed the sections of Marie and Mirrors that I read for you today. And definitely do pick up a copy of Marie on February 4th. Okay, I'll see you at the launch. I'll post a link down here in the comments so that you can see where our launch party is going to be. Thank you, Evelyn, and everybody at the Quill and Ink Room for having me today.